Hi, this is Dr. Michael Scharf again, and in this video we're going to tackle probably the most difficult interview question out there. And that is, can you expand on or tell me your greatest weakness or give me a couple weaknesses? The reason people ask this is not just to be difficult, but they really want to know how aware you are of what weaknesses you have, and also it gives me an indication how open you might be to taking some constructive criticism. Now I will say that there are videos out there on YouTube, and there are some actual interview books that advise you to take a strength and make it a weakness. For example, I've been told on interviews when I ask what the prospective employee's greatest weakness is, and it's I care too much, or I'm a perfectionist. And then they expound on how that might be a bad thing, but unless you think I'm stupid, I can read through that, and you probably got that on a video, and that really isn't your greatest weakness. I kind of handle that in two ways. Neither of them are good for you as the interviewee, because I'm pretty much not going to hire you if you answer that. And one is I just let it go, and the other is, I'm a perfectionist, I care too much, and therefore, things take me longer. Well, then the real weakness is that you don't complete projects on time. And kind of just throw that out there and watch them kind of stumble over that. But again, I'm really looking for, are you aware of some of your weaknesses? Now, the cool thing is that I'm going to give you a couple recommendations on what you should say as your greatest weakness. And the first and probably easiest one is, especially if you're a student or relatively new to the workforce, or you're changing careers, or you're changing industries. And that is that you lack experience in that either job, you're a student and this will be your first job, that is really your greatest weakness, is you don't have a lot of work experience, or you don't have a lot of work experience in that specific industry or that field. For example, when I moved from industry into education and they actually asked me what my greatest weakness was, I told them that really, although I had conducted training before, I had never been a professor and I'd never had to stretch that training out over a 16-week semester, and I viewed that as my greatest weakness. Now, the really cool thing is that probably was my greatest weakness. And my guess is for many of you, if you are changing industries or changing disciplines, or you lack job experience, that probably is your greatest weakness. So it's not like it's a disingenuous kind of an answer. It is your greatest weakness. Now, for many of you, you may not be able to answer that you have been employed for a number of years and you're applying within the same industry. And so you really can't use that as your greatest weakness. And for those people, and certainly you could use this even if you lack some of those, some of that experience, you can pick something that you are interested in improving. And so you don't even have to say it's a weakness. You can say, well, I'm really looking at improving such and such. For example, if you work in the back office, in accounting, finance, IT, you could say that I'm really looking to learn more, have more product knowledge, or I'm really looking to improve my presentation skills, because that isn't something that I do on a day in and day out basis, and here's what I'm doing already to help improve that. Now, you don't want to say presentation skills if you're in sales, because that would mean that's a critical element of your job. So you want to pick something that you're interested in improving upon that isn't a critical element of your job. So if it's sales, perhaps you want to learn more about the accounting and direct and indirect costs and how they affect sales and things like that. And then you can go and say what you're doing to help progress toward that. I mean, there are books out there, and if that is, say, well, I'm reading this book, or I just got finished with this book and I'm planning on getting a couple others. So there are definite things that you can pick. Just make sure you're not picking something that is critical of the job you're applying for. because that could, again, just like the I care too much or I'm a perfectionist, or picking really any strength that you want to sell as a slight weakness. Most interviewers really read through that and look at you as disingenuous and not really answering the question. And again, I don't think that's what you want to put forth on an interview, is I'm disingenuous and I'm not going to answer your question. So one of the other two ways I think is much better to do. Something that you're looking to improve upon that isn't a critical job skill that you're looking for, or to back up for those that are looking to change careers. Even if it's the same career, even if you're in sales, if you're moving from one industry to another, you can use that. I have a great deal of sales experience in this one industry, but I've really never worked in this other industry, and I think that is my greatest strength, to get up to speed on the products and things like that. Well, the cool thing about that is that the interviewer already knows that. So you're picking a weakness that the interviewer already knows, because I can see on your resume that you either have very little job experience or you've never worked in this industry. And yet you're sitting here and I'm interviewing you. So obviously I don't think that that's a critical weakness, because if it was, I wouldn't have even interviewed you. So definitely pick something that it can be seen as a weakness, that actually is your weakness, that the interviewer obviously doesn't care about.